Rituals convey structure. They convey curation. People want to be told what to do, and they actually like it. I remember going to a YPO meeting. YPO is Young Presidents Organization, probably the canonical executive organization of the last 100 years, I would say. And it's a very strange thing. It's a very strange place. They have a vice chair of education and a vice chair of learning, and they have all these very strange titles and designations, and it means so much to the members. And it's that ritual, it's that idiosyncrasy that you create, as we've done in our organizations, as we do in our companies. When we create those funny, interesting rituals, that's what resonates with people. So part of that is, for example, we host lots of dinners. Pavilion hosts about 300 to 350 salon style Jeffersonian dinners. We call them operator dinners every year. And they got started, and it's a pretty straightforward format, but we make sure to emphasize it, which is there's an introduction. We talk about no crosstalk, which means within the context of the dinner, there's not multiple conversations. There's only one conversation. There's a moderator. We have an introduction where we go around the table and talk about everybody's challenge. Everybody shares a fun fact. And then we always say structured conversation through appetizers and entrees. And then after entrees, as the wine flows and as desserts appear on the table, then everybody can mix and match. But the point is people feel like they're being guided. They're being guided. People do not want to feel like they have to make it up on their own. That's why introverts like me, that's why we don't like regular, and I'm actually an ambivert. But the point is, when I'm feeling introverted, I really don't want to walk into a big empty space, a big crowded party, and figure out who I'm supposed to talk to. And we've all been to those events where we walk in and it's not very welcoming. And that's not what we want from our community. Because, by the way, the opposite is so powerful. There are lots of people, I've been around hundreds and hundreds of dinner tables, where you see the person that hasn't spoken in 45 minutes, and you point the camera to them and you say, Tony, you've been a little quiet. What challenge are you working on over there? And you would think that maybe that person would have nothing to say. It turns out they've just been waiting for somebody to ask them, and they come to light. So what is all of that to say? Think about structure. Think about curation, moderation, structure. Think about how you name things. Think about how many options you give people. If it's a digital community, here's another important lesson. Slack's great. There's lots of platforms, and I'm sorry if anybody works at Salesforce on the call, but they're not my favorite company in the world. And they've adopted a lot of the commercial practices that Salesforce has since they acquired them. But the point is, it's easy to make it messy. And you have to have a recipe for how many different types of spaces you create for people to interact. And you don't want too many and you don't want too few. And that's part of the structure that you provide. Within Pavilion, there was one part of our journey where we had a Slack for enterprise healthcare sales and a channel for SMB and SureTech. And those, what you don't want in those moments is you create too small a space and nobody shows up. Nobody goes to that party. You want the idea of a bustling environment. And one of the sort of funny metaphors I think about it is like what the Gatsby mansion. If you watch like Baz Luhrmann's Great Gatsby, you want every room you walk into to be full of interesting people. And you don't want there to be too many rooms, but you want there to be enough that every room feels vibrant. So structure is important. Without structure, there's no connection. And as I said, the signal within your community has a decaying half-life. And once it goes away, it's very hard to reignite.